Hello everybody, Bill Batson here from Batson Enterprises. I'm here today with the world famous Doc Ski. Doc Ski and I have known each other for quite some time now. I've known about Doc Ski for a long time since I've been in this industry. We met in 2007 at the National Conclave in Minnesota, and it was a special night for me because I won the Legends Rod, where a bunch of the legends, and obviously Doc's one of the legends in the industry, had put a rod together, and it was at a raffle, and I won it. I bought a couple tickets. I bought a couple tickets because, you know, obviously I collect rods, fishing rods, and it's part of my industry. But it's been awesome. We've been hanging out for a couple days.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I flew him, like I said, I flew him up here. We're going to do a Salmon for Soldiers tournament in the next couple days.
Yeah.
You know, it's to honor our vets, you know, and this is...
And they need it.
Yeah, they need to be honored, right? And Doc is one of the most patriotic guys I know, and he knows how I feel about the industry, and also about giving back, you know, because we all know freedom's not free.
That's it.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So, tell us a little bit about how you started, Doc.
Well, I basically started when I was a very, very young boy. My father was injured in World War II. He was blown off of an aircraft carrier and had to go through rehab and all kinds of stuff. Part of his rehab was they got him a job at a tackle shop in Huntington Beach. And part of earning the money, you know, his job, he would bring home these old Calcutta bamboo rods and rewrap guides on them for people to buy or to rent.
Sure.
On the party boats.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, I was a little snot-nosed baby at that time. And I would sit there and watch and watch and watch, see what he was doing. And like most children, when they're watching Daddy, they want to do the same thing that Daddy does.
Yes.
Well, of course, I was an instant success. You believe that? I got some land here. But eventually I got to where I could put guides on a rod, and it became my job to keep up the family rods. And this was a long time ago. We joke a lot about, you know, how I'm getting on in years and caveman stuff. But back in those days, it was bamboo rods, a special brand called Calcutta, and bell guides. These guides look like a piece of tubing cut with a little foot on the bottom of them.
I remember them.
And, you know, we're talking Stone Age stuff. So I kept up the family rods for a lot of years, and then I got really involved with fishing because my father was.
Nice.
And as the years went on, of course, I started accumulating fishing rods, and I was lucky the good Lord gave me the skills to catch fish, not just try to catch fish, but I actually landed a lot. And I won a lot of jackpots. And what happened one trip was, after I'd fished with this one skipper for a long, long time, he gave me a custom built rod.
What kind of rod was it?
It was made out of, what do you call it, Fisher?
Oh, Fisher.
J. Kennedy Fisher?
Yeah.
Blank.
Yep.
Anyway, you know, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I was in the service at the time, and I had to go to Australia. And on the way to Australia, they were bringing home my household goods, and it got broke.
Oh.
Never fished with it,
No. Bummer.
and it got broke. And in Australia, let me tell you, the fishing in Australia is something to die for. So I served my 3 years in Australia, came back with my family. I was lucky enough to bring them to Australia. I came back, and I was stationed in Oxnard, Port Hueneme, Oxnard, Ventura area. And at that time, there was a company called Harrington. Actually, they originally were called Harnell, but at that time they were, for legal purposes, having to call their product Harrington's. And I went to the shop, and here's all these blanks and these machines and all this. And I met an old fellow named John Harrington and his wife,
Jean?
his wife Jean. And they just took me under their arm, and I said, look, I gave them the whole story about losing this rod.
Sure.
And they knew the manufacturer. Of course, they knew everybody in the industry.
Yeah, Joe Fisher's.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a little side story to that. I won't go into this, but there was a side story. And they were very good friends, but they fought over who built the first fiberglass rod, who sold the first fiberglass rod. Anyway, Jean Harrington, I told her, I said, you know what? I really like to build my own fishing rod. I know how to wrap the guides on.
Sure.
And so she took me under her arm, and she was doing this, that, and the other thing, and we put a kit together. I took it home that night. I brought it back the next day. Boom, all the guides are on the rod, and I wrapped pretty tight.
Sure.
She just instantly complimented me. I love the way you just wrap so tight. So many people don't pay attention to that.
Yep.
And I was looking in the corner, and this rod caught my eye, and it had these little diamonds on it. And I said, how do you do that? Now you have to understand, back in those days, nobody.
They didn't share information.
Don't share information. No custom rod builders
Right.
ever shared a bit of
Yeah.
information. Totally unlike what we have today. And she said, well, it's very easy. You take and you make this helical wrap up and helical wrap down, and you line up the points as good as you can, and then you wrap on the outside, and you wrap on the inside, da-da-da-da.
Sure.
I went home and I came back the next morning. Now the guides, not the guides, but the diamonds kind of went like this,
Right.
but it was tight, and she complimented me again, and then she gave me some advice, this is the way you straighten them out and do this, you draw a line down the rod. I went home, took it all off, brought it back the next day, straight as an arrow.
Nice.
And it kind of launched me into wanting to build custom rods. And God has blessed me with a talent, and it showed up then. Of course, I was still in the service, so it was a slow transition. I started building for my family, like most rod builders do.
Yep. Family and
They
friends.
build one for themselves, and
Yep.
their brother wants one, and dad wants one,
Sure.
and mom wants one, and then friends want them.
Yep.
So that's how it kind of got snowballing. And my time in the service, I stayed with the Harringtons for a long time, till they eventually moved out of Oxnard. But it was obvious it was a future for me somewhere. And I was coming to the end of my military career. I thought, I don't want to take care of sick people all the time. And I spent 22 years in the Navy being a corpsman, and sick call and people bleeding and sewing them up and all kinds of stuff. Very rewarding, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah. Somebody's
But
got to
it's
do it.
not the kind of thing that I wanted to do the rest of my life.
Sure.
So I said, I think I'm going to call Gene up and find out how to make this official. Because I was doing it like a lot of people do today, out of the garage, back
Yep.
door stuff. And I called her up and sought her advice because, basically she was the industry from the plank. So
Sure.
the
From the
first
plank up, right.
Right. And she didn't steer me wrong, she told me instantly, do this, get that, get this, get the right licenses. In those days, we fell under the 10% excise tax
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
And she told me all how to do this. In fact, she helped me get I forget what the form number was, I want to say 602 or
637.
637, I knew it was a 6.
Yeah.
And I got that, which not many rod builders
No.
have.
Yeah. 637
And
for him.
I got that, and I got an accountant, I did all, clean as could be. And it actually worked out good because, 10 years into it, IRS come knocking at the door.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not neat people.
No. They want to
They're
know.
not like your typical income tax people. They'll crawl in your underwear.
Yeah, the federal excise tax, it's a luxury tax, right? Basically is what they call it,
Right.
because the fishing industry gets that extra 10%. On top of everything else,
Sure.
they get the 10%. So
Sure.
yeah,
And there's very few industries that have that.
Yes, very much so.
Tires and a few other things, but
Right.
it was good advice, and like I said, it came in handy because very few people have ever been audited. Not at my level,
Sure.
okay, not at the custom rod builder level. A lot of people like you get audited, I'm sure.
Every year.
Yeah, so every year?
Every
Wow.
year.
They audited me 2 years in a row, and I had a good accountant.
Yeah.
This guy wouldn't let me cheat.
Good.
He'd let me take advantage of everything.
Sure.
But he didn't let me cheat. And Well, long story short, she came to same person, came to my house twice with my accountant there.
Right.
And every time she said, well, what do you have to show this?
He had all the paperwork.
He had everything
right.
laid out.
That's the best way
After
to be.
the second year, she said, you'll never see me again.
That's good. To
So-
be above board is a really good thing. You
Yeah,
know?
well, the second year, she caught a couple of pretty high rollers in the industry.
Mhm.
I won't mention
Yep.
names. But one was like 38,000.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, and it's not like you can pay for it on the
And the payment
terms.
plan.
No.
No payment plan.
No, it's like
we
the
want our
payment
money.
tomorrow.
Yeah, the government wants their money.
And a couple of builders got caught at the same
Yeah.
time. And actually, one of the biggest builders in California
Yeah.
got caught for a huge amount of money. So, I was really glad to get that kind of information.
To have somebody that owns a business to help you start a business is invaluable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And to get the real information.
Sure.
A lot of people, not a lot, but there's probably businesses out there that might have said, well, you can cheat by doing this and you can fudge by doing that.
Yeah.
And, she wasn't. She was really straightforward about it.
Yeah.
And,
Nice.
since then, it's been a very, very good life. I'm retired from it now, too.
Right.
But now I spend my time devoted mostly to charities.
Mhm.
I'm really
Yep.
involved with the patriotic stuff.
Yep.
With 22 years in the military, it becomes part of your blood.
Sure.
And I joke about it, but I sleep under a blanket that has a flag on it.
Sure.
I'm always wearing,
Yeah.
patriotic clothes, and I'm just involved with a lot of people like Project Healing Waters.
Yep.
Wonderful outfit that takes care of veterans from all of the conflicts and wars, and patriotic service dogs. And now I'm going to get the pleasure of fishing with you and salmon for soldiers.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great event. You're known in the industry for your weaves. I mean, everything. I have 10 dock skis in my collection. Everything from my portrait on a rod that you weave to the Seattle Seahawks to all kind of different things. What got you into the weaving part of putting those kind of designs on rods?
Well, like I said earlier, I start off with the diamond wraps.
Yep.
Well, they were called diamond wraps now.
Sure.
Now they're called cross wraps.
Yeah.
And I love them. They're beautiful. They're
Sure.
artistic. Again, the good Lord has blessed me with an eye to see different things. So at first, where I got my first big name was I could make these incredible patterns that nobody had ever seen before. And what it was I'd be making a pattern and I go, well, what if I do this? If I change this angle, if I do that, I might get something different. And then while I'm doing that, I see something else. So I would see new patterns and things. And one day I picked up a book by Dale Clemens. And there was pictures in the back of weaving.
Yes.
And it was all what we call single layer weaving. And I was just like, wait a minute, that's a picture.
Right.
I can make pictures of this.
Right.
So I started really researching getting into the weaving. But I wanted to do fish, like a tuna or a yellowtail.
Yep.
And I wanted it to look like a tuna or a yellowtail, and they have certain characteristics.
Sure.
And I wanted as much detail as I could. So at the same time, there was a guy that ran a tackle shop that was getting involved in it. And we would kind of swap information. Still not a big deal in those days. A lot of people still didn't offer a lot of information.
Right.
And I got into it, and he was doing something, putting colors in, but they would go across the rod because they were still single layer.
Right.
So in other words, a tuna has a blue back,
Right.
but it has a yellow tail, a
Mhm.
golden tail. And it would go blue, 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 boom, blue. The ends could be yellow or
Right.
golden, and the sickles could be, but not the body,
Right.
or not the tail.
Because it being single layer.
Because of it being single layer. And
Right.
I just kept going, there's gotta be a way to do this. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, maybe if I add in a thread at a certain point, I can change the color from blue to gold. And I came up with one way, and it worked kind of good, but it was real gappy, and I want something to look like a sticker.
Sure.
So I finally came up with a methodology to color change weave, and then I went crazy with that. Like I said, the good Lord gave me this ability to just refine things.
Sure.
And the next thing you know, I'm doing 8 and 10 layers of thread and scenes of fish. And it was like an addiction. It really was.
Sure.
You know, I went crazy with it.
Right.
And then that's when I kind of changed things in the industry. People would look at my work and, you know, gee, I wish I could do that. Well, hey, it's easy. Look at this. Look at how you do it. And like I said, that wasn't the way then.
No, back then, a lot of people didn't share information.
As a matter of fact, when I first started letting information out on some of these techniques and things, and tricks, just simple tricks, even tie-off tricks.
Yeah.
I
Burnishing
would
tricks,
get calls
kind of
from people in places like Texas or East Coast.
Sure.
What are you doing?
Right.
We just found out you're doing. No, wait a minute. He deserves to learn just as much as I do, and then the next guy.
How's the next generation going to learn if somebody
That's
doesn't teach them?
That's it.
You know?
And then it really hit me. What I was doing was I was laying down a foundation for me, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I was still being selfish. What I was doing is teaching others that will say, well, I learned from Doc.
Sure.
And I am so lucky and so blessed. I've met so many wonderful people in the world. We know some of them together.
Oh, yeah.
Guys like Italo Bussi in Italy,
Oh, yeah.
and some of the guys in South America, guys in Australia, Peter and Owen.
Yep.
And it's almost like it was in the military. In the military, we were a family.
Right.
I still call every military member my brother or my sister.
Sure.
In the rod building industry, it's pretty much the same deal.
Yeah.
Now, especially now, because with the internet and with people not wanting to hold their secrets, we're all sharing, and we spend a lot of time. I spend probably 30% of my day online answering questions or helping people,
Right.
or giving them some advice or something like that. And it's very rewarding. It's like I'm putting out, but every day I'm getting just as much back.
Sure.
You know? And then once in a while I get a surprise, like somebody calls me and tells me they want me to come to Washington.
You've influenced a lot of people in this industry, Doc. You know, you're probably one of the, if not the most famous rod builder, in my opinion, in the industry. You know, we've got guy Mark Krause is also awesome rod builder. I mean, Jim Trulecki's does really nice work. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Look at Mark Blobham's woodwork and things like that.
Sure.
But as far as the influence that you've had for around the world and teaching people. My father was the same way. When my father first started telling people how to do things, people were mad.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, you're giving away our secrets, Bob. My dad's like, hey, that's what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to continue to build this craft and things like that. And you've done a really good job with that, with your videos and
Right.
you know.
And I'm doing a lot of stuff online.
Yeah, I see
I
that.
do an awful lot of stuff online. And believe it or not, I'm still learning.
Yeah,
You know,
that's good.
I kind of have a theory in life that when you think you're at the top and you're done and you don't need to learn anymore, you're actually making your first step backwards.
Yeah, I hear you.
So,
It's been good.
you know, and then I learned from individuals that you wouldn't think of. Somebody just starting rod building, and he runs into a problem and he's trying to solve it himself, but he's having trouble, so he'll call me. And I'll say, what are you doing? Maybe ask for pictures or whatever. But I might see something in the way they're doing it, or the way they tried to,
Sure.
that I go, wait a minute, that's a pretty good idea, except you need
Right.
to do this or that.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
it's so
That's
cool.
good.
It's like always a give and take.
Yeah. We've been able to partner up on quite a few projects.
Oh,
You know, so that's
wonderful.
really nice. You know, working with you with Project Healing Waters, and and then helping you with all the projects that you do. I mean, it's a blessing to be able to be in a position to help people, right? Like you're in a position, that's what you're doing now, is you're helping other people. You're making donation rods. I mean, I know back in the day, you're $1,000 for your rods or $1,500 for a rod, and now you get to build those rods and they go to raffle, and people get to buy them.
Oh, yeah.
I buy them all the time.
It just, I see all the ones that you have of mine, and I remember all the things that people say to me, like, gosh, I'd do anything for a dock ski rod and this, that, and the other thing. Actually, I've had other rod builders email me and go, I don't care what you do, just make something for me.
Sure.
A keychain or whatever. And that's really rewarding.
Oh, yeah.
And to think that I've impacted that many lives.
Well, you're a legend.
It's wonderful to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And, without help from people like you, I can't do all that.
Sure.
I mean, you've been wonderful with helping the industry. All the things that, almost everything that I have touched as far as a charity, you've had some influence on. There are a few others, but you're like all in.
I'm all in.
If I call you up and I go, Bill, I got this Marine that's really goofed up and I need to do something special for him, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yep, when do you need it? Boom.
Right.
And you don't run into that a lot.
Right.
And all I can say is thank you so much for not only what you're doing for me, but what you're doing for the people I'm trying to help.
Yeah. In the industry, the Batson family, we're like you said, we're all in.
Yeah.
This is not a game for us.
No.
This is not a hobby for us.
No.
This is our livelihood, and this is who we are and what we want to be. And part of the vision for Batson is to help people.
Sure. And it's really shown, because when you first started, when we first met, and I think it was 2007 or something like that. When we first met, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know Batson who.
Right.
It was all another couple other
Sure.
companies that were mainstays for Southern California. And then when you started getting involved in Southern California and the quality of your product, it's like anything else in life. Quality sells itself.
Correct.
Now, you put quality in the hands of somebody that might be, a little reputation going, then it just grows exponentially.
Sure.
And then when they find out that you're giving back all the time, it's one thing when you make money, you make a great product, but you're taking in the goods, that's one thing.
Sure.
But when you're giving back,
Right.
that's what you're getting known for, just as much as the quality of your product.
Sure.
What you're doing, not only for people like me, the artisans, but the veterans and the first responders and stuff like that. We were fishing the other day and just listening to these guys talk.
Sure.
I didn't know them from Adam. In fact, I don't think you did.
Nope.
Oh yeah, I got one of your rods. I got it from so and so.
Yeah, sure.
Don't you do this with the vets? Don't you?
Yeah.
The reputation you're building with your father's business is never going to die.
Yeah. Thank you. We have a lot of passion for what we do. And people are drawn to passion, just like we're passionate about. Doc, he's a passionate rod builder. We want to know what he's doing.
Actually, I'm kind of crazy.
And people are drawn to the passion, the Batson passion. Hey, Batsons, they really have a lot of passion, and they help people, and they really care about the industry. And I appreciate you coming up here and spending time with me. And I look forward to the next couple of days that we get to spend on the water. And get to enjoy my beautiful collection. I have quite the collection, don't I?
It's awe-inspiring. It really is. I know Mark Krause through the business a lot, and I've had a lot of dealings with him, but I've never been able to get close to his work because, he's there and I'm here.
Correct.
And getting to look at his work up close, and of course I'm looking at his work through an rod builder's eye.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm awestruck.
Yeah.
With the quality that and the patience that he has for stuff, especially his lathe work.
Yeah.
Oh, the things he can do with the lathe are just incredible.
We've been blessed to know a lot of good builders, and we have Batson collection is close to 600 strong.
Wow.
Custom rods, and from folks like you and Mark Blobum and Jim Treleckis and Bill Havens and Mark Krause. I mean, there's so many. It's hard to name them all.
Right.
And if I miss anybody,
saw-
nobody
I
get
saw-
mad at me for not mentioning your name, but I know, Dennis Popike obviously has rods in this, but
I saw one in there from Sato.
yeah, Sata,
We miss him.
Brady Kari, yeah, was an awesome guy. Actually, I have 4 of his rods. He built 3 of them right before he passed away. Actually, built 3 for me, and I was an honor. I got to go out and catch my first bluefin tuna on one of them. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so it was an honor to be able to do that. But I just want to thank you again, Doc, for all you do for our industry. It's like I said, it's an honor, and it's been a blessing knowing you. And we got plenty more stuff to do,
All right.
but we're gonna go fish.
Well,
So-
I want to thank you too.
Oh, thank
for
you.
everything you've done and the friendship and stuff that you've given me over the years. And let me meet the rest of your family.
Yeah,
This isn't a workshop.
yeah,
This
it's a
is
family.
family.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. All right, everybody, that's it for me and Doc right now. We're gonna go fishing. All right, we got fishing for a couple of days. So everybody, thanks again. Doc Ski,
Love ya.
Bill Batson, fish on.